power meets precision with the Dunlop FX 500 Tour. The Dunlop FX 500 Tour is the heaviest and most precise option within Dunlop's FX power line of rackets. For this update, Dunlop adds Power Boost Plus frame geometry, which increases the beam thickness in key areas to add even more power and stability than before. New to this model, Power Wave grommets have been added to help create a more even feel and power distribution across the hitting zone. Carrying on from previous iterations, the Sonic Core with Infinity not only helps to dampen vibrations and improve comfort, but also provides more energy return when striking the ball. Overall, the FX 500 Tour is a great option for players who like the precision from a 98 head size, but also seek easy power and access to spin without feeling overly stiff on the arms.
I really enjoyed this update to Dunlop's FX 500 Tour. This racket and I got along swimmingly. I had an extended period of time to test this racket out. We even tested it out with some extra weight on it. I just really like this racket from any part of the court. It's a 305 gram frame with a firm layup of graphite, so I'm definitely getting a decent amount of plow through, good energy return, and the swing weight's somewhere in the mid 320 range, so all this really fit my game overall. Played a ton of doubles, singles, ground stroke games, and dingles with it, and really it's hard for me to define what would be my favorite shot. But one that I do rely on a lot, and I loved hitting a lot with this racket, was the backhand slice. There's something about the shape and the size of the squares that really just allowed me to peel off topspin with a good launch angle over the net. But again, on that backhand slice, I was really able to keep it low and linear over the net, which was troublesome for my opponent. So again, just a great play test overall. If you're looking for an all-around racket, it's good for basically any intermediate or above. You're gonna wanna try this racket out.
So I think the other playtesters described it really well. It's really explosive yet controlled power. So when I got on court with it, I was able to hit all my shots. I was able to hit my favorite shots, the shorter angles. But it came with a cost. I was overhitting at certain times. So getting used to that power, even though I was able to put it where I want, overhitting it was one thing I struggled with just a little bit, especially on shots that require a little bit more feel, a bit more touch. So my volleys or drop shots was landing a bit too high, and so my opponents were hitting passing shots, or my volleys were just reachable enough. So again, passing shots or lobs. But I would really want to compliment the spin on this, the spin potential on this racket, especially on my backhand. I really liked it. I was able to roll the ball with just a bit of a flick. I feel like that made it a bit harder for my opponents to attack my backhand side. I really loved it on my serves because I was letting the racket do most of the job. I just had to direct the serve, especially hitting kick serves. Again, it's almost like a point and shoot. Add enough flick to the ball and it was jumping. So if you're looking for a racket that gives you a lot of power and you're still able to control and direct the ball, the FX 500 Tour is definitely something that you should be looking at.
I was honestly really surprised at how much I ended up liking this racket. I don't have a ton of experience with Dunlop rackets or the FX line in general. I have found them to be a little bit stiff in prior iterations, but despite having a 65 RA, I found this racket to be actually really solid and plush through the ball, for me at least. But at the same time, you're still getting really good power access, of course, and like everyone's probably gonna mention, the power and control balance here is near perfect. It really does actually remind me of an EZO 98, but with a more traditional hoop shape, of course. And I really just enjoyed this racket overall. Really fun off both wings on the ground. I thought it actually excelled up at net. I was volleying really well with this frame. Felt like I could just touch and place shots on a dime. It was super satisfying with that shot in mind. And I loved it on serve as well. Just really good action on the ball, really solid. I wasn't quite topping out in terms of pace, so a little bit slower than some other rackets for me when it came to first serve, especially flat ones. But the shape and the action that I was getting on the ball more than made up for the difference there. I did struggle a little bit on returns. I found them to be a little bit floaty and sitting up just a little bit too much if I was blocking or chipping a serve back. I felt like my opponents were just attacking that ball pretty quickly. But if I stayed low and really tried to power through my shots, this racket is good enough to effectively spot target on return and to hit through that as well. All in all, it's one of the more enjoyable power sort of oriented frames I've seen in a long time. And again, a very close contender in my opinion to the EZone 98. Great racket overall.
When it comes to Dunlop rackets, I've been a big fan of the CX line of rackets for their control and feel, precision, and I've also liked a lot of the SX rackets in the past. So trying this racket out, I was really impressed. I actually would say I prefer this over the current SX 300 Tour. And like Oak was kind of talking about, I definitely find some comparisons here to the EZone 98 as well as the Pure Drive 98. I'd say it's a little more comfortable and a little more controllable to me than the Pure Drive 98, but I get a little bit easier launch angle, a little more spin potential than say like the EZone 98. So just a really nice frame here. I think you do get that modern feel and power without too much compromise. It's not too stiff, kind of middle stiffness, and the Infinergy does a good job of absorbing shock. And then it's pretty fast and maneuverable at a 305 weight. I found on serve, I got easy power, easy spin. And from the baseline, one thing that I really liked is I felt like I could attack the ball if I needed to flatten it out. I didn't feel like the ball was spraying on me too much. And it also felt pretty good on the slice. So there's just a really nice balance here of power and a little bit of control and feel mixed in, not too stiff. So for me, I would probably just weight it up a little bit, maybe bring it up to like a 315 gram unstrung spec and just dial it in with a thicker poly to get that control. But all in all, I was really impressed with this update for the 500 Tour. For this review, we had a couple of Dunlop poly strings, the Dunlop Explosive Spin and the Explosive Tour strung at 53 pounds. And that's all we have for this review. For more information on this racket or anything else tennis related, be sure to head to Tennis Warehouse, Tennis Warehouse Europe, or Tennis Only.